Oh boy, sometimes in life there are things that really just baffle my mind or downright piss me off. And I just look at the situation and I'm just like, what the hell? What is going on here? What in the what? I mean, really, what? And that's what's happening with the format wars. So, right now, 4K is popular. But they are actually talking about 8K and 10K and maybe even 12K. And I'm hearing that and I'm actually starting to get pissed off. And you're probably wondering, well, why would that piss you off? That doesn't seem like something that would piss someone off. Well, there's a reason why it's pissing me off. So let me explain something. Okay, I'm a filmmaker. And I originally started out in television. And my television show, we shot our very first episode in SuperVHS. And at the time, that was broadcast quality. And it was a broadcast camera. My friend who was our camera operator, his mother ran the public access station. So it was a professional camera we were using. Now, our second episode, he couldn't show up, so we had no camera. So my co-producer had just a standard VHS camcorder. And so that ended up becoming the camera of the show. Not the best quality. Our second year of the show, he got a new camera, an 8mm, and that was so much better than VHS. It looked better, it had stereo sound, it did better in low lighting, the resolution was better, and the colors were better. The colors were much more vibrant. So that was awesome. Now, years later, I become a filmmaker, and I start shooting my movies in high 8mm. That was a few steps up from 8mm, and looked great. Meanwhile, other filmmakers were using 16mm film or 8mm film. Usually they were using 16mm. Now 35mm and 70mm is what Hollywood was using. And 35mm was the standard, but 70mm was like what epics were shot on. I mean, 70mm was the best you could possibly have. It was just stunning footage. It's what IMAX uses. Alright, great. So the technology keeps improving. I started to predict when I was using high 8mm that eventually film would die. I just knew it. I felt that that was going to happen. My thought process was that video itself, the quality of video, would get better and better and better, and eventually be at a point where the quality was just as good as film. And I knew that it would be a better format, especially for micro-budget filmmakers and low-budget filmmakers, because film is more complicated. You gotta develop it, you can't watch it back right away, it's bulky, it's expensive, it takes up a lot of space. There's a lot of different issues involved. Where film is instant. You can record it, you can watch it back right away, you have a little more control over it, you don't have to worry about developing it, all that stuff. So I just felt that video was definitely the future. So now, not too long after 8mm came DV video. DV video was the precursor to high definition. And I purchased a DVPRO camera. So it was a professional broadcast video camera that shot in DV video. And it was a little box. I mean, the camera was small. And I was amazed that this camera was a broadcast camera at that size. But it was amazing. It had a giant flip-out screen. It could shoot in widescreen. And the quality of footage and the resolution blew away 8mm. Just blew it away. So I knew that I was right. I knew that we were on the verge of replacing film. Now, it took a little bit longer, but eventually there was high definition. Now, high definition, I believe some television show started broadcasting in it, but as far as having a camcorder that could shoot in high def, it took a while. But eventually it came. And I got a high definition professional broadcast camera. And when I saw the footage for the first time, it blew my balls off. I was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. It captured life. I mean, I just tested it out in my backyard, and it captured my backyard exactly the way it looks, the way I see it with my eyes. And I said to myself, here it is. Film is dead. Film is dead. This is it. The video quality has now improved to the point of replacing film. Then, about a year or two later, I got a DSLR. I didn't even get it for the high def footage, but I used it and tested it out. And when I saw the footage from a DSLR compared to the camcorder, I was like, oh my God. It was like amazing. The quality was just stunning. And it just cemented my thoughts. Film is dead. And I was right. Independent filmmakers started to shoot using DSLR. Hollywood started to develop high definition cameras that used the same technology that DSLR was using, and things started to change quite rapidly. Then the Blu-ray came out that you can watch high definition on a disc and get beautiful quality. It was all changing. Everything was changing, and I was embracing it. I knew this would happen. It just took some time for it to come, but as a filmmaker, I was excited because all of my early movies, I just was never happy with them because I didn't have the kind of quality I wanted. But with high definition, it was here. But then came 4K. And the first time any of us saw 4K, and you probably remember how you felt, the top of our heads blew off. Our eyeballs exploded. It was like, oh my God, it's like I'm looking out a window. The quality is, how could you create quality that's better than high def? Look at this. So Hollywood filmmakers, independent filmmakers, everybody embraced 4K. It was like, this is what we need. The quality was perfect. It was able to replicate film. And that's what it felt like. It felt so much like film. The quality of it was perfect. So really, for a lot of us, it was like, this is it now. There is no need for any more changes. 4K is it. We got 4K TVs. 4K TVs are cheap. That still blows my mind. I got this giant TV over here that I didn't even pay that much for. Yet years ago, when I bought my first big screen TV, which was like a box, the thing cost like thousands of dollars, and it was only in high def, and this TV was like less than $500, and it's 4K, and it's stunning. And it's a smart TV. And you could go buy like a 32-inch TV for $100. I've seen them on sale for less, and they're in 4K. So, do we really need any more than that? The answer is no, we don't. But you see, manufacturers, they're pushing now 8K. 8K. So this is where I'm getting pissed off. See, as a filmmaker, I can't keep updating my equipment. It's expensive. You get your equipment, you buy all the stuff and accessories to work that works with your equipment, and then the format changes and suddenly your equipment's out of date. I had all of this equipment for high 8mm, and then that all became out of date. So then I got miniDV, DVPRO, and I had to replace all my equipment and make sure everything was compatible, and then they came out with high def, and then I had to go replace all my equipment again, and then I moved on to DSLR high def, and the same thing. And now I'm in the process of moving on to 4K. But I have decided that 4K, actually I'm going to be doing 6K, and I'll explain that in a moment. But that's it for me. I've already made my decision. We don't need to do better than 4K. We don't. As a matter of fact, our eyes aren't going to notice the difference. Do you want to know how you'll notice the difference with 8K? You'll have to go stand about about a foot away from your TV screen. So what you would have to do is, let's say, get an 8K TV set, which they are making now, and go put that next to a 4K TV set, and go stand in the back of the room and look at each of them. Guess what? You're not going to see the difference. They're going to look the same. But now if you walk up to the TV screen and put your nose to it, and you go to the 8K, you're going to see how very clear it is. But then if you go to the 4K, you're going to see it's not as clear. Then if you go to a high def, it's going to be almost blurry. But yet when you walk in the back of the room, you're going to see that the 8K and the 4K pretty much look exactly the same. And the high def, even though it looks good, is going to be slightly less than the 4K. But not dramatically less. So where does it end? Are they going to go to 10K? Are they going to go to 12K? Are they going to go to 100K? Will it even be called 100K? And what's the point? It's all about pixels. Like, our eyes can only see and comprehend a certain amount of pixels, which pretty much is what 4K is. That's what our eyes are really able to see, is about 4K in that range. Now, there's some good videos on YouTube where people explain this in detail, so you can go and search that up. They do a much better job of explaining it than I do. But bottom line is that 8K is pointless. If you were to go and put a giant screen in your house, like the 8K TVs, the smallest size they're offering is 80 inches. So why would you sit with your nose up to the screen to be able to notice the difference in quality? You shouldn't even do that. It's best to be at least, 8 to 10 feet away, and the further back you go, the better the quality actually gets. But if you're at a point where you're going to go put in like a 200-foot screen in your house, wouldn't you just get a projector? A 200 screen would be a pain in the ass. The big giant thing you got to go stick in your house, and the weight of it, and how many people are going to have to move it. Just get a little projector that gives you the same quality but offers better features and is convenient and small. And you could create your own theater room and just have a screen that folds up and down. It's pointless. Now, the only real benefits of, say, 6K and 8K, for me as a filmmaker, has to do with the editing process. So, when I would shoot high definition, sometimes in the editing room, I would have a scene that I felt could go a different way. Or I needed a close-up. Maybe there was a mistake that happened, or a piece of footage didn't work out, so I need to create a close-up. So I would scale the image or zoom into the image. And when you do that, you lose quality. And you could sometimes tell that in the final product. But if you use 6K or 8K to shoot the video on, when you're editing, you could actually scale in and crop the image into a, let's say if it's 6K, I could crop into a 4K piece of footage. Or if I'm shooting, or if my final product's going to be high def, I could shoot it in 4K and then crop it into high definition. So what happens is, let's say I zoom all the way into someone's face, you're not going to see any poor quality because I'm zooming into 1080. So as a filmmaker, that's the only benefit. But 8K, the file sizes are going to be too large. It's going to require a lot of people to rebuild their computers again. You're going to need a ton of hard drive space. To me, it just doesn't seem worth it. 6K isn't that far off from 4K. It does take a lot of space, but not as much. So 6K is okay. That's why I decided that's the direction I'm going to go. I'm going to shoot in 6K, but then my final product will be 4K. But let's not kid ourselves. When you go and watch Netflix and you're watching just your standard high definition video, let's say you're watching a movie in high def, and you're watching it on your 4K TV, the footage looks amazing. There is no poor quality. So for a lot of people, even 4K is unnecessary. I think it really does come down to the filmmaker itself. It's up to us to say enough is enough. Why would we go to 8K? Why would we go to 10K? Why would we do that? And as filmmakers, we should not embrace that technology. We need to say enough is enough and not purchase it. 6K is fine. It's fine for the filmmaker. It's fine if you, like I said, for the purposes of cropping an image or zooming in, being able to create different shots, even for special effects. But Going past that is at a point of being ridiculous and pointless. But we all have to say enough is enough. People shouldn't go buy an 8K TV. Because this is what they're going to do. They're going to keep manipulating us into changing formats. I mean, if 4K never existed, I think we would all be happy with high definition because it's still a beautiful, perfect format. And it does a great job of capturing the look of film and a great job of capturing the look of life, and movies look great and anything shot in high def looks great. So if 4K didn't exist, we would still have great... We wouldn't be saying we need better quality than this. It's just that 4K happens to be a little better. But we really are at a point now where any more... any format higher than that really doesn't matter anymore because our eyes aren't going to see the difference. And therefore, we are wasting money and we are continuously changing format when we don't need to. It's time for it to stop. And I think 6K should be the cutoff point. Nothing more after 6K. No 8K, no 10K, no 12K. That's it. And it's up to us as consumers to say enough is enough. If anything, instead of focusing on that format, they should be focusing on codecs and trying to make file sizes smaller. Can we do something that's better than MP4? Can we do something that's better than even H.265? Can we create a file size that's really small but captures and holds the full quality of 4K without losing any quality but have a smaller file size? That's what they should work on. Spend your time doing that because that'll be better. That would make our jobs as filmmakers and editors and streamers a lot better. And people who are storing that type of stuff on hard drives, it would be better. So, that's the end of my little rant. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this. I think a lot of people are feeling what I'm feeling. And it is truly up to us to be the ones who say enough is enough. Thanks for watching. Are you a fan of all things paranormal? Well, check out my brand new website called paranormalaliens.com, featuring things of a darker nature on all sorts of really cool products. You could get wall clocks, mugs, t-shirts, all kinds of wonderful things. Just go to paranormalaliens.com and check it out, and also know that many of the items there actually ship for free. I ship worldwide, so check it out today, paranormalaliens.com.